Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting. We are live at ZappCon 6.
Yeah, give it up for ZappCon 6.
Everyone, big round of applause. Yeah, there we go. All right.
That's as loud as I can go.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay.
So we are very fortunate to be joined today with two returning guests to the show for the first time live and in person here together. We've got friend of the pod, Chris, and Blaine from NECA Toys.
Hey guys.
So we are going to have a really fun conversation today about kind of the toy making process and a lot of things that I think, you know, in terms of like how the sausage gets made. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that,
I am murdering my thirst today with Cherry Obituary Liquid Death.
Oh yes, that's right. Here's our another attempt. I'm looking straight at camera. Liquid Death.
I would love...
Right here.
Oh, you don't...
No,
there
you go. Liquid Death.
Yeah.
Murder your thirst.
In the attempt, ever long-lasting attempt to get
I'm
sponsored.
just looking at hard cam. Thank you, Rusty. So yes,
Rusty on camera.
in our another attempt to get sponsored by Liquid Death.
I'm gonna try every week until we do.
Yeah. So Chris, Blaine, tell us a little bit about what you do at NECA.
Me first. I am the brand manager of action figures at NECA, and also one of the toy designers. So I do everything from conceptualizing the action figure, working with the licensors, working with our design team, working with our packaging, working with our marketing, everything.
And Chris, how about you?
I'm a lot louder. Hey, I'm a senior graphic designer and problem solver.
Problem solver. That's a good one.
Just ask Blaine, right?
Every company needs a good problem solver.
I am the problem solver.
There you go.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned kind of at the top, right, we have the opportunity to talk about kind of the whole toy making process here, because we have somebody who could speak to the design of the actual figures and then all the way through to a finished product, so with finished packaging. So tell us a little bit about that process. And we actually have an example here, our Evil Dead 2-pack that both of you have worked on. So walk us through the process.
I guess I'll start just because, so concept started with, and I did the concept for this 2-pack. Starts the way any action figure process would start. I do a 2D, basically a drawing. We submit it to the licensor. We show, it's a layout, shows everything closer, sorry, I'm like a lot. Shows everything that the figure would come with, shows where the articulation would be. And then we submit that to the licensor. Once that's approved, it's assigned to sculptors, painters, etc. And then it moves over to packaging.
It goes to me. And then I get to come up with the concept for packaging, because Randy will tell me, hey, we're doing Evil Dead 2-pack, and I squeal a little bit, and then I come up with a concept, I pass it along to him, he okays it, and then it's off to the races.
I think it's worth noting that that's something I really enjoy, and I'm going to assume Chris enjoys as well about working at NECA, is that we really, for the most part, there are times where we get handed something with very specific guidelines, but we really have the opportunity to, as you said, like Randy says, just here you go, and we squeal because we're fans, and we get to kind of do what we want.
Yeah, he kind of trusts us, especially when it's something we're really interested in, that it's going to be for the fans because we're fans ourselves.
So we know in terms of the figure, like where you can draw from. Obviously, you have all of the moments from the films, you know, to get those kind of details and everything. But in terms of the packaging, like, where do you draw from to get the inspiration to do something like what you did for the two-pack
like,
here?
did the cabin immediately, was that what came to mind, or was there a couple things that were kicked around?
So I've wanted to do the cabin since I started working there, and we've gone through a lot of different ashes over the years, and it just never worked out. So once we were doing this one, I of course freaked out because we got Cheryl, but I was like, oh, now's the time. I'm ready to do it. So it's a lot of research and a lot of pausing and starting and pausing and starting to make sure every single detail of the cabin is there. And like I said, once it gets okayed, it's a lot of fun trying to come up with ideas for everything.
So for that, the back and forth with like the licensor, and I think that's something that a lot of collectors maybe don't realize is like how long that runway is. You know, from the idea to like the final product, like how long does that take? What's the back and forth like, you know, in terms of getting approvals and everything?
I would say on average, for an ultimate action figure from concept to shelf is a little over a year, so maybe like 15 to 18 months.
Okay. And what are some of the things that like you hope to achieve in kind of establishing the relationships with this back and forth, like to get kind of that trust to be able to do some of the things that you want to do?
That's a really good question. Mine usually starts because I'm talking to the licensors in a respectful way. It usually starts with outsmarting them or out-nerding them. Not in a mean way or anything, but kind of going in and showing that we know what we're talking about and we know the IP and we're going to take care of it, and that what the final product will be is a proper reflection of whatever the character or IP is.
And I am going to bring up Evil Dead again, but Sam Raimi himself approved this packaging, and that was like a huge moment for me as a fan.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it would be fair to say you are a super fan of this property. You're wearing an Evil Dead shirt underneath your
hoodie. I got everything. Yeah.
What was it like from that perspective to get to work on something that you're is such a big part of your personal fandom?
The crazy thing is, every time I think like, oh, I've done everything I enjoy, something else comes up. I'm like, there's no way we're actually doing that. It's like, oh yeah, we're doing that. And it's like, please put me on that. Please put me on that. So it's, I mean, like I have like a wish list in my mind, but so many things have been, ticked off that list. I mainly do every single horror figure that comes out, so I get to do every single horror movie that I've ever loved. Like, I'm kind of the horror guy there, so I luckily get to do all that stuff. And then even fun stuff on the side, like I get to do 2 new terrors. It's a really crazy variety. And I know Blaine gets excited when we get to do Elvira and Pee-wee, like all the things he loves too. Like, that's what keeps us going. It's like we're fans ourselves, so we really put everything we have into what we do.
And, I know, especially with NECA, especially with the Ultimates, but even going into Toonies and everything that's there, a big thing with the IPs that NECA works with is that attention to detail, and especially with, like the accessories like the secret word cards or things of that nature. So what goes into kind of partnership and figuring out like, all right, what are the big details that we want to make sure that we nail?
Well, for the figural part, for the action figure itself, I'm a huge collector, and I've been a collector for a lot of decades. It's what I would want in my own action figure. It's what I would want to collect. And being inspired before starting at NECA, I've been collecting NECA since before it was NECA. Many of those artists were at companies prior, and I even collected those action figures. So being a fan of that type of action figure, of the ultimate action figure, of the nuanced accessories, and I love a detail. I love an Easter egg. So I just think about what's been done before me and what I would want to collect.
I have to give you a compliment. Blaine is one of the most meticulous researchers I've ever met in my life. where like if we're doing a figure and something's red and it's magenta, Blaine's like, no, it's magenta, it's not red. And that's why a lot of our stuff has really improved, I think, because he does so much work and so much research.
And we were actually talking a little bit about this before we walked in here about the new Leatherface. So there are a couple of small details that are on the new lady Leatherface.
Pretty Woman
Leatherface. That I think might have been missed and could have been just reused other parts. But you found some very distinct details that needed to be kind of checked off on.
Yes, I did call out in the concept sheet before we had the sculptor start that Pretty Woman Leatherface needed a different right thigh because there's a cut in the pants, and needed a different diaper area because he has his fly down in the movie. And it was that little, I wanted to make sure the fly was down. Yay me, I guess.
And the color of the chainsaw.
And the color of the chainsaw got corrected for the newer one, yeah.
So what are some of the favorite kind of details that you've, or any specific pieces that you're specifically proud of?
Okay, so
So we'll go favorite Easter egg and then favorite just overall.
Okay, so this one, totally not planned. I didn't even know this was being asked, but luckily Chris is here. Probably my favorite project as a whole to date was our 2022 New York Comic Con exclusive. Was our Ghostface Takes Manhattan. I love Ghostface. I love the Scream movies, and I literally got like free reign on this figure because we don't have the license to the Scream movies. We only have the license to the Ghostface costume. And coincidentally, Scream 6 had come out right before New York Comic Con, and it took place in New York City. We're local to New York City. And I had the opportunity to just completely conceptualize this action figure, what it would come with. My idea was that Ghostface was a tourist in New York City. What would he do? He went to Broadway and got a little playbill. He went to the souvenir shop and got a little Statue of Liberty with the Ghostface on it. And then I got to bleed that fun concept into the packaging and work with one of my best friends in coming up with a packaging that I don't know if we've ever done packaging that has that many Easter eggs
There is
in it.
so many Easter eggs. I mean, obviously, it's a nod towards Jason Takes Manhattan, that poster. But the inside is the subway, because that whole scene. And we hid so many references on every poster that's in the subway car. And I don't know how we got away with it, but we hid them very well.
Because we didn't talk about it until just now.
Now, it's already released. It's gone. It's long and
Statute
over.
of limitations
It's
has
totally
expired.
approved.
Sold
Yeah.
out.
I mean, we're talking like in the subway car, and it's just this big. It's just the insert to the figure, so that when you have your figure displayed, and it's a subway car, and like the next stop is West 96th Street, Wes Craven, who originated Scream in 1996, 96th Street. Like we had a lot. You came up with so many playbill, like Broadway parody posters.
Mm-hmm. And we did Stu's TV repair service.
Yep.
So much fun.
Yeah.
So
That was a lot of
my
fun.
that was my favorite project.
That's awesome. Chris, what about you?
Well, like he just said, that Ghostface was a lot of fun because we collaborated on everything with that. I just get to do a lot of, I mean, it's stupid little things, but I have to go back to Evil Dead, but like Cheryl's pad with the Necronomicon scratched on it, that doesn't exist. So I sat there and tried to scratch it exactly the same. It's little things like that you don't really think about, but somebody sat there and did that,
Finish, please.
And we had another Evil Dead 2 2-pack, and I got to redraw some of the pages from the Necronomicon, and that's on the back. And I'm just like, I did that. That's my artwork, and it's official. Like, that kind of stuff is really cool.
And I want to note, because he doesn't talk about it a lot, and Chris is obviously known for his package designs, which are fantastic. But a lot of action figures, when you do see those little accessories like the Necrocom, I can't it's going to go into Comic-Con again. I say Comic-Con every time. But those little details, he draws a lot of that and never really talks about it. And Ben Cooper, like, you've drawn every single Halloween costume on that Ben. That's Chris Ramo. He has done every single Ben Cooper costume. So, yeah.
Yeah, and those are wildly popular.
Yeah.
Like wildly
Those
popular.
are a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun because there's also not a lot of reference. Like, people weren't like, I'm going to scan in this costume for 2025 when they make action figures of it. So a lot of times Randy will send me a JPEG that's like 72 resolution. It's 2" by 2". It's like, hey, this is the only photo I can find of this costume. I'm like, well, I guess I got to make up the rest of it and try to make it work. So
Yeah, and it's not like those things were like well put together that people hung on to on like vinyl. I had many of those, and like they'd rip or they'd
fall apart.
Yeah.
Completely fall apart. What's crazy to me about those, and I wanted to ask you about this too, is like the ones that aren't like originally Ben Cooper but are in the style of Ben Cooper. Like talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's such a crazy creation process to be able to take something that's modern and like boil it down to that kind of rudimentary style.
it helped doing a lot of the replicating of the original costumes because you get used to a certain style. Like, it's supposed to look like it was inked and it's some of the registrations off and everything. So once Randy was like, hey, we're going to do ones that never existed but should stand next to them. So I just have to make stuff up. Like, it doesn't exist. None of this stuff exists. So a lot of the what ifs are just my illustrations and concepts, and Randy okays them, and even the packaging doesn't exist. I have to do all that too. So it's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding. Like.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom-and-pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at their brand new home at 101 Newark Pompton Turnpike, Suite 1 in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
And now, back to the show.
With everything that you guys have done, is it more difficult to kind of come into something that you're less familiar with and just kind of have a fresh take on it, or is it just like the stuff that's like really your bread and butter that's like more difficult because there's a lot to draw from and like almost that super effort for perfection and that super want for perfection to like really kind of honor something that you love?
Yeah. I think for me, like Chris said, I am pretty meticulous. It's nice to hear someone thinks it's a nice thing. I always think we're going to get in like a fight.
I say different things when you're not around.
I know it. I'm aware. So being that meticulous when I get an IP that I'm not as familiar with, it's not that it's more difficult because I do love a challenge and I love finding things out. It just takes a lot longer because I don't know what film to go right to or what episode to go right to, or there are moments where I've designed figures and I'm like, oh, I want this accessory, and I turn on the movie and I like skip ahead within like 3 clicks because I know it so well. So obviously I love working on the ones that I love because I love them. But no, I don't think it's more difficult. I think it just takes longer. What about you?
Same. It's the challenge of it, and there's a lot of horror movies I've never seen, and now I get paid to watch them, so I can do action figures and packaging for it. So, I mean, like he said, I like the challenge of learning something I didn't know, basically.
And the challenge of getting it done in 3 days.
That too, yes.
And who doesn't love getting paid to watch horror movies?
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
It's the dream.
Has there ever been an IP that you're unfamiliar with that like you fell in love with because of having to work on it? Like, has there ever been something where you're like, oh, I've never heard of this before, and now all of a sudden...
Kind of the opposite. There's things that like like, oh, this horror movie's a classic. I'm like, all right, I gotta watch it. And I watch it. I'm like, sure, yeah, it's something. But I don't know if anything's really turned me because I usually work on stuff I'm into. But yeah, like I would say there's definitely been some horror movies I'm like, I don't get it, but sure.
Yeah, not that I love Ninja Turtles. 90s live action movies were like my Ninja Turtles, but I knew nothing about The Last Ronin before we started working on that, and now
that's a good poll.
Re-Evolution is like my favorite current comic.
Yeah.
So I got into Last Ronin because of the figures.
He found one. That was one that I didn't read the comic until we did. And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
It's good.
There you
Very
go.
cool.
You got one, Blaine.
Very cool. So you guys are both, prolific artists in your own right. The stuff that you do outside of your work at NECA, and you have very distinct styles. Like when I see something that that you work on, Chris, or that you work on, Blaine, it's very, very easily identifiable. Like your personal work, like, oh, that's a Chris Ramo piece, that's a Blaine piece. Is it difficult for you guys to separate your personal style from the work that you do at NECA, or do you try to find little ways to kind of get that in certain places, or is it more so like this is the style guide and I have to stick to the style guide sort of thing?
I hate style guides. Luckily, I'd probably say 95% of the things I do, there is no style guide, especially a lot of the old horror movies. It doesn't exist. Same with, he mentioned 1990s Turtles. Like I worked on those and nothing existed because we were probably one of the first ones to do them. So we were kind of like making assets, and the look and everything, even the cartoon line, that didn't exist either. I had to come up with how that would look too. I think what I do personally compared to what I do for NECA is it's very different, and a lot of people don't understand how I go from like this to like the goofy stuff I do on my own, but I try to get a little bit of me in there once in a while.
I think for me, yeah, it's more straightforward, and I get to kind of turn into the more analytical Blaine and not the artist Blaine. When I'm doing especially concepts for figures, it can be very matter-of-fact, very realistic. But then, like with the toonies, I think I do try to slip my own art in there. I have a very, like Bruce Timm is like my favorite, cartoon artist, Batman the Animated Series. So I have a bit of that style in my own style anyway, just from imitating it as a kid. So with the toonies, I do think that I try to add my style in there. But then conversely, I was a fan of toonies before I started at NECA, so I also am inspired by like Jeff and Adrian's art and.
Very cool.
All right, so let's jump ahead a little bit because Haulathon hits Target on April 11th and in stores soon. So
Nowish.
we've got a bunch of stuff here that is part of Haulathon. So do we want to hear about some new stuff? Yeah. All right. So let's talk about what we've got here at the table.
Sure. I guess we'll go.
Yeah, why don't we start
way?
with Leonardo?
So we're going to start with Dark Leo. This one's a really fun one that neither of us worked on, but we started in the 80s cartoon Ninja Turtle figures. We started doing what Trevor calls the Pizzaverse, our brand manager, Trevor Zammit. He calls it like the Pizzaverse. What would happen if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon from the 80s continued on with additional seasons, and his team has been able to come up with different concepts and to invent looks from characters. And Dark Leo is really special because one of our freelance artists, Jason Young, who's a friend of both of ours as well, designed this as a what-if character for our action figure line. And then IDW, one of the comic book companies that still does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they do the Saturday Morning Adventures, which is styled after the old cartoon. Sorry, it's a long answer. And they loved it so much that they actually created an entire dark team and a comic book issue around our action figure. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles IDW Saturday Morning Adventures, issue number 20 on stands now is my plug. But that was really cool. just that this is the first time in NECA that an original action figure has now become a real comic book character. I don't know how many times that has happened ever.
I mean, I
Yeah,
can't
usually
think.
it's like the other way around.
The other way around. Yeah.
I also love the copy on the back. It's like
Quit hitting yourself.
Quit hitting yourself, like Nelson Muntz. Like, it's super cool.
And then the PandaCon, kind of in the same vein. PandaCon was an action figure before and has since become a character in the TMNT lore, but was never featured in the 80s cartoon. So having that opportunity to go back and same thing, just do kind of this expanded universe of the 80s cartoon.
And this next one here is really special.
The next one here is very special for most people. If you don't know who Pee Wee Herman is, shame on your parents. Go watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Go watch Pee-wee's Playhouse. I grew up watching Pee-wee's Playhouse, and this was such a special project for so many different reasons, but very happy that we got to do a Pee-wee action figure, the first ultimate action figure of Pee-wee that's ever been done. We had done a toonie prior. We got to work with Paul, who was an absolute amazing person. Talk about meticulous. Never had I been more assured that I was exactly who I thought I was as a kid. Like, I just thought I was like an amalgamation of Pee Wee Herman, Elvira, and Dolly Parton, and I'm 2 for 3 right now, so great.
Okay.
But yeah, very meticulous, very hands-on. He was extremely particular about what accessories, what looks, what everything, which I loved. But yeah, so this is a very special one, and even more special because I stole a little bit of Chris's talent, and I actually hand drew the entire packaging and the insert. The door is the only thing I didn't draw, so all of that is like a Blaine Rodenbaugh original.
Awesome.
Inside and out. It's really,
Nice.
really crazy.
And then the last piece we have for Haulathon here, there will be more than this at Haulathon. We just have some highlights here. But we have The Curse of Michael Myers, my first Halloween movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
Are
sorry.
you serious?
Yep, and I came back for more.
Thank goodness. Yeah, it is the 6th installment in the multiverse of Michael Myers. This one was actually fun to design because the movie is so critically bad, and it was like, what can we include? And I, every Halloween, I now have to spread it over 2 days, but every Halloween I watch every Halloween movie consecutively in order, all 11 now. So this one was fun because I went into the producer's cut, which has a couple of extra scenes, and that's how I got my Easter egg pieces included in there. So you've got like the green, or the mask with the green ooze coming down, which was never explained even in the producer's cut.
Nope.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
Blame it on the thorn.
I blame that entire movie on the thorn. But really fun, and I got to collaborate with one of our fabricators, Anthony, for the Strode, which is over at our table, the Strode Realty sign that it comes with on the back. It gets vandalized in the movie, and we couldn't decide whether we wanted it not vandalized or vandalized, and the way that Anthony sculpted it to actually disconnect so you have both, and sculpted it gets vandalized with like a cardboard Michael, which I don't think you can see. No, it's in the back. It's a cardboard Michael, so we sculpted it out of plastic, but it looks like cardboard, and he even sculpted like the Scotch tape on the back. So I just love that little detail. And then you got to talk about style guide, and I'll let you talk about this. But when we got our marketing agency, they asked if we had a style guide, and I was tasked with coming up with the NECA style guide. As a brand manager, I have to know what the look and feel of NECA is. And I literally just went to Ramo and I was like, so basically everything you do with your packaging, can you just put in a spreadsheet and call it the style guide? And one of those things is the collages. I think that this is so synonymous with a NECA Ultimate action figure now. And that's all you. So you talk about that. Because it's on the back of Evil Dead, too. It's just, I love it.
We were doing the Thing figures, which I was dying for us to do those since I started working there. and I got tired of doing frames on the back of boxes, and I was like, I'm going to make it look like a movie poster, because, you know, you look at like Druzan and all these other posters, like it's a nice collage of characters and different sizes, poses, profiles.
Those
So
feathered edges and stuff. Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to try it. It's a risk. I'll see what Randy thinks, essentially. And like, I remember sending it to him and kind of like doing one of these, and he emailed me back. He's like, send me a JPEG of that now. I'm posting it. I love it. This is crazy. I've never seen this. I'm like, okay, sure, yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it, boss. You know, like, and ever since then, like, every time I do something, he's just like wants that collage on the back, and it's different, and it's a lot of fun for me to try to make it work. Sometimes it's easier than other times, but it's kind of cool, I guess.
There's that problem solver. Right?
Yeah.
There we go. And the last thing we have on the table here is something that you guys just announced, a new IP in that Toonie Terrors format. What we do in the shadows. What was it like to kind of venture out on this new IP and to do it first in this format?
Well, this was so easy. It was like, so Jeff Trapp is our senior painter, and he kind of invented the Toonie Terrors with our sculptor Adrian. So he would normally come up with all the concepts. Once I started, just with his workload, I started taking over some of the Toonie Terrors because I could kind of emulate that look. And when Randy came out, was like, we have a new list of projects. What we do in the shadows was on it. I was like, what are they? He said, Toonies. And I like kind of looked over at Jeff. I was like, you can have it. Are you sure? And I had to like do one of those, are you sure? Like I was already jumping. And he's like, yeah. Easiest entire wave of concepts I've ever done. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly the looks I wanted to do. They're kind of, none of them are the exact outfits that they had, because I feel like in a show, I love this show, and me and my attention to detail, I notice, I have a background in style, design as well, so noticing that all of their clothes were very similar silhouettes all 5 seasons, very similar color schemes. They all kind of stuck to their looks. So not only did I kind of know like what poses, what accessories, whatever, but I kind of got to make up their own outfits, which took me back to my like fashion design days.
Yeah.
And the fact that they look very much like they were outfits that lived within the show, I was really proud of. Yeah, I just got to put a lot of fun into this. And little things. Colin Robinson, if you're not a fan of the show, he's an energy vampire. He's like the most boring person. He doesn't suck blood as a vampire. Energy vampires bore you and suck your energy out.
We work with a couple of them.
So I made him completely unarticulated, because he's a boring character. And this is like I was like, Colin Robinson has to be the most boring action figure you can ever own. So there's no articulation, and he's just various shades of khaki.
Hands in
That's
pockets.
amazing.
Hands in pockets.
Yeah.
I said, well, literally, our art director was like, well, if the hands are in the pockets, how are the arms going to be articulated? I said, no. I don't want the arms to be articulated. I want this to be the most boring action figure, purposely so. And though we can't talk about the packaging yet, I'm also looking forward to what you're going to do, because I think
Well, there is a style guide,
there is a style guide.
but I ignored their style guide, and I kind of did something that felt in world with what we do in the shadows, and they approved it. So
Awesome. Can't wait to see it. And just as a reminder, so the Holothon products, along with a bunch of other great Holothon stuff from NECA, you can find it in Targets kind of now.
They'll have like a standee for Holothon.
But it's supposed to technically hit April 4th, and then online in the U.S. On April 11th.
Every Friday starting April 11th.
Yeah, every Friday starting April 11th.
Drop.
And outside of the U.S. at Holothon.com. So I think I got all those things right. So before we let you guys go, we have 2 orders of business. So one, if you notice, Dave and I are wearing birthday hats.
Yeah, party
That's
hats.
because it's Dave's birthday.
Yesterday was my birthday.
And come get a hat.
Yeah, you get a party hat.
Grab a hat. It's his birthday this week.
Oh, awesome.
So
Go Aries.
if you could humor me, we're all gonna sing happy birthday to Dave. All right?
In
All
surprise.
right, ready on 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dave. Happy birthday to you. All right, so second order of business.
tip of the cone.
I have a bag of toys. So if you have a question that you would like to ask our esteemed members of the NECA crew here, you can come up. Well, actually, I'll come to you with this microphone. You can ask a question, and then you can pick a toy out of the bag. How does that sound? Who's got a question? Who's got a question? Oh, we got 2 little guys up there. Hang on, I'm coming. I'm coming.
I have never seen them before.
It's not gonna reach.
We
You're
don't
gonna have
know
to come
them.
down here.
I don't know who they are.
Come down. They are not marks.
How?
Whoa!
Oh my God, how?
Come over here. Come over here. Here you go.
How many projects do you have to do at once?
That's a
Thousands.
Pick something.
Yeah, they don't stop.
They do not stop.
How about you? What do you got?
What was your least favorite packaging and figure?
Least favorite? He's trying to get us in trouble.
Ooh.
Wait. I'm gonna help him out.
What was the hardest one to work on?
Any of them that don't have. This is a very difficult question.
All right.
When you don't know the property, that's probably the hardest stuff to work on. And especially if you have to watch the movie and you hate every second of the movie, but you have no choice, you have to watch it anyway.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
All right. Anyone else have a question?
Thank you, strange
Yeah,
children I've never
come on
seen
over.
before.
Come on down.
strange children.
Which project of yours took like the longest?
Which one took the longest? Usually none of them, actually. They're all very quick turnarounds because there's so much to do every single day. I mean, I had turtle packaging last week that had to be done in 3 days, so
3 days.
usually everything's very fast. Sometimes we'll get something, Randy will tell me something, and I'll be like, okay, great, and I'll start it, and then I forget about it for a year, and then he's like, oh, hey, we're going to do this now. And I'm like, oh, that's from like 2 years ago. Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Usually by the time you get it, it is like
It's got
it's
to
a
be done
rush
in
job.
a couple days.
I think the longest project, we are working on a
Thank you.
project now where it's going to come out this year, I think. But I have been working on it for 3 years. Yeah, so that's been the longest and counting.
All right. Anyone else with any questions?
They're just getting ignored.
All right. What do you got? Here, Rusty.
With the different IPs, are there any IPs that you get that they're very strict about what either the box art can look like or the design of the figure, or is it kind of universally everybody has like a standard, hey, these are the guidelines?
That's great.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
We haven't really, I mean, on my end, packaging-wise, haven't really run into much trouble other than nitpicky little changes. Like, we don't want the logo to be this color. We want it to be that color. It's like, yeah, sure. It takes a few seconds to change, but usually they're like, yeah, it looks great. Let's print it. So I'm sure you deal with a lot more.
I think part of doing a great job on the product development side is making sure that people pair the right artist with the right project, and I'm going to assume that you don't run into that so often because we tend to give you more of the be creative, there's no style guide, and then we have another package designer who is great at following style guides. So when we do get those IPs, because they exist, you look at recently Alien Romulus, a lot of people, I don't think this is hidden information. A lot of people were like, oh, why weren't those Ultimates like we've done every other Ultimate where you've got the fifth window panel? We got a style guide from Disney Fox, and it was, this is what we'd like any action figures that are produced of Alien Romulus to look like. So we replicated it. So it depends. Sometimes they are more particular. Sometimes, see, I enjoy it because I am so particular. Unless I have, that's when I try to out-nerd them, like I said earlier. You know, sometimes on the figural side with Paul, he was very particular about what expressions he wanted and what expressions he didn't want. Cassandra, who plays Elvira, she's very hands-on, and I love getting to work with her because she'll be the same way. She'll say, oh no, my outfit, my belt was going the other way, or that dagger had, 2 red gems, not 3 red gems. So I love that because I'm like, yes. So I'm okay with either, but I think in packaging, I don't see you as a follow the style guide kind of person, so we just don't give you those projects.
I never have been, so.
Rule breaker.
Yes.
Problem solver,
Problem
rule
solver,
breaker.
rule breaker.
Yeah,
Okay.
added an extra title.
There we go. Did you have one question? Yeah. Go ahead.
So I know you guys have been doing the Friday the 13th, right, in the window boxes, but you have 2 to 7. Is the rest coming out? I know that, how dare you, first of all. Well, I mean, obviously the first one would be, I know you have her in the clamshell of Pamela Voorhees. Would that be coming out in the window box, or is that not even a thought? But then, takes Manhattan, then, part 9 there, and then part 10 when he's in space. Dying for any information on those.
I am a completist as an action figure collector, so I would love to have all of them as well. I don't think there's any secret that there hasn't been a lot of new Friday the 13th stuff popping up in recent years. We would love to do them. It just depends on licensor agreements and it depends on the film.
There was like some turmoil over the rights, and it kind of halted us, paused us, I guess. I just like we do every single Myers figure. I would love to have every single Freddy and every single Jason.
Yep.
Like, I don't care how bad the movie is, the figure would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got a Zapp shirt on. You can ask whatever you want.
That's true. When you have doing the Friday, the Nightmare on Elm Street, who decided to put the human-faced dogs that gave me nightmares as a child for years into the packaging? Because as soon as I opened that, I flashed back. I think I cried, but it was such a perfect thing as an accessory. Who thought to put those into that packaging?
I don't know.
Well, you did the packaging.
I couldn't even remember a name that was on it.
Yeah, I got nothing. But it was your choice to have them in the flap.
I don't know.
They are terrifying.
Yeah, they are
very
very
terrifying.
unsettling.
Well, Blaine, Chris, before we let you guys go, just remind everyone that is with us today and everyone that is listening at home, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, us as NECA can be found at NECA Official or NECA Toys, depending on the social. The NECAstore.com is our official store. We're usually at every major Comic-Con and Target, Walmart, online retailers, anywhere where action figures are sold. And then you can find me at Blainer Things, Blaine R Things, on every social media.
And mine is at Plastic Vampire Art on Instagram. And my OnlyFans, I'm kidding. And my website is just plasticvampireart.com. And that's about it.
And he's got his art right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're right over there.
Everybody, give it up for Blaine and Chris, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
And thank you for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both on our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer, Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.